Well, greetings, everyone. It's me, Robert Phoenix, and we're back for another edition of the Astro Weather. And this is odd. I am not seeing the camera. I'm not seeing the camera. This is really odd. Let me do a bit of a reboot here. Hold on. Let's do this. Okay. I'm back. Look at that. Here we are. All 55. Now 74 of us and growing. Welcome to the show. Let's see. Who do we have here? DJ MC Michael's in the house. Barbara Boots. She says, hi there, bears, huh? The Bernese mountain dog is associated with bears. In German, the breed is called Berner Sinnerhund, the working dog from Bern, Switzerland. The mascot for Bern is a bear. They kind of look like bears, those dogs. Big, lovable bears. Hadidas 99 is with us, the new next. After all these days, I finally got the Gemini twin theme on the thumbnails. There you go. That's what we're playing with. We're playing with the twin theme. You know, I almost went with the twins from The Shining. But I thought you guys would enjoy waving bears a little bit more. We have enough weirdness. I'm trying to go for like a high-end Hallmark thing with the thumbnails, although I could descend in. I did have this one. I was working on this one thumbnail. I'll show it to you. I couldn't quite pull it off. I could have, but it was going to take like a bunch of time for me to pull it off. Not a bunch of time, but more time than I wanted to spend on it. And let me show it to you. This is what goes on in my brain. So today is John F. Kennedy's birthday. In case you didn't know that. And I was working on a thumbnail of two Kennedys. And I was gonna go in this direction. And I could have. Do you see that? Look at that. It came right up. And what I was going to do is I was going to do background remove. So you would just have these two, right? This is kind of like a peek behind the creative process here. And then I would have flipped one of these, probably this one, horizontal. So they would be waving in opposite directions. And I would have picked some kind of a sunrise beach background, put them on that. So I was going to go into Kennedy, and I could have done it. I just didn't feel like jumping through all those hoops to get it done. So this just, it's kind of like an outtake, a look behind the scenes. So there you go. But instead, you got happy bears. Okay. Let's see who else we have here. Misbehaving too. Jackie Delario. Triple J. Robert's throwing down the bear necessities. Who doesn't love a bear? Everybody loves bears. Devin Dewar. Double D. What's going on, Devin? Good to see you. Hey, Devin, our that little short you made is making the rounds. My gosh, it's like people are picking up that short. And people are sending me, oh, this is really great. I'm like, wow, this social media stuff really works. Amazing. Pluto out of bounds to the south end of this year. Pluto has some weird out of bounds transits over the course of being in Aquarius. That's a really good observation. So for people that don't understand out of bounds planets, what happens is that a planet is just slightly above the ecliptic, right? So all the planets have this nice orbital path around the ecliptic, but every now and then a planet just slightly is above the ecliptic. And the idea of the out of bounds planet means is that it's kind of uncontrollable. So if you have an out of bounds planet in your chart, that planet is kind of wild. It's almost like a rogue. It's like a rogue planet. So whatever it's doing, it is sort of playing by its own rules, and it could have very interesting effects. But it's not always easy to deal with, and it's not always easy for other people to deal with. And there's something about out of bounds planets that have like a fixity to them, right? Like they sort of imitate like a fixed aspect. And you can also have out of bounds planets in a progressed chart as well, which is interesting. And there's actually an out of bounds calculator, online calculator, where you can type in your birth date and everything, and it will tell you, if you have out of bounds planets or not, or if you do have them and they've gone out of bounds in the progress chart and then have come back, it'll tell you as well. As far as Pluto being out of bounds, there's this idea that out of bounds planets are always like over 24 degrees, which is not true. Like I was on this I don't know, chat forum, and they were talking about out of bounds planets, and all these people, well, I have this out of bounds, this out of bounds, and this out of bounds, just because it was over 24 degrees. That's not really true. Like Pluto is what, retrograde 3, then it's out of bounds. So you can't always just judge it by it being over 24 degrees. That's not really the barometer of being out of bounds. So as far as Pluto being out of bounds, it feels like kind of like Black Mirror territory. If you guys seen Black Mirror, the TV show from England where things get really weird, it kind of feels that way. It feels like we're headed into Black Mirror territory. You know what's interesting is yesterday I was talking about the polypod, right? And somebody brought up Aubrey Marcus and the whole poly thing in chat. And Aubrey Marcus is connected to Joe Rogan. And then I got a text from Danny yesterday, who did not listen to the show. And she said, "Oh my God, have you heard about Aubrey Marcus and this poly thing?" I said, "Well, yeah, somebody brought it up in chat." And I told her about the show yesterday, what I was talking about. Anyway, long story short, Danny's coming on to the show tomorrow, and we're going to talk about this. We're going to talk about Aubrey Marcus and the poly thing. And she feels like it's kind of an op. And, I liken it to what I talked about yesterday with Pluto and Aquarius, and people having very non-traditional. So I feel like what's going to happen with Pluto and Aquarius is you're going to get people that are going to have very traditional relationships, like super monogamous nuclear family stuff, because Pluto tends to be very extreme, right? And then the other side is like poly world. And so that's not to mention like robot lovers, or which is going to be a thing. It already is. But this is sort of where we're headed in terms of like how we mate, how we bond, how we live. It's going to get very extreme, very, very extreme. And with Pluto being out of bounds like that, I think, and there's going to be an out of bounds cycle with Pluto. Like I think it's about 5 out of bounds like transits that Pluto has when it's in Aquarius. which is crazy, right? And so when it does go into out of bounds, these like Aquarian, Plutonian kinds of social moments are very noteworthy. They're very, very noteworthy because it presents us with extreme models of social interaction and I would say bonding. I'd add that, but we'll just stick with social interaction. So when we see these out of bounds cycles happen, like get ready. Things are gonna. I mean, you think things are weird, it's gonna get really, really fucking weird. And sometimes, and weird is not always bad. Sometimes there's good weird, and then sometimes there's bad weird. I think it's just a question of your point of view or perspective, right? I'll give you an example of kind of an out of bounds Pluto in Aquarius moment. Okay. Jordan Peterson recently debated 20 atheists. Now, that is very Aquarian. Why is it Aquarian? Because it wasn't Jordan Peterson debating just one person, right? It was Jordan Peterson debating an entire group. So just let that bake into your brain a little bit, right? It's like the equivalent of an intellectual gangbang. Like he was kind of being the Bonnie Blue of the debate world in that moment. And he did not do well, by the way. And Jordan Peterson is a Gemini, right? And I don't think it was Jordan's best moment. And I've never been a huge Jordan Peterson fan, just to be, completely transparent. But it's one of those kind of out of bounds moments where he thinks he's gonna get into the arena and be like this intellectual gladiator and take on all comers. And Jordan Peterson got smoked, and the ones who smoked him were like Gen Z, right? These were Gen Z kids. They're totally based. And what's interesting is that the Gen Z kids have Pluto and Sagittarius. Of course, Jordan is a Gemini, so their Plutos are opposing his sun. He picked the wrong generation to get into that ring with. That's a very Pluto out of bounds moment where I think if Jordan Peterson had to redo it again, he probably would. It's not a career-ending moment, but the college kids kind of owned him. They used logic against the guy who considers himself to be like, I don't know, the godfather of logic. Anyway, thanks for that, Meow Meow Kitty Poop. California Contrarians here. Let's see. Oh, God. The new next. I love this. The Bears were playing red light, green light, and someone said pause. That is funny. More NYC. What's happening? Good to see you. Janice is here. My guy Ryan's back. There you go. Little locals action there. Artist Seer. Hi, Artist Seer. Jupiter Day is upon us. There's Neil Smith from a realistic HD place. What's going on, Neil? Yes, hit like, share. If you like the show, like the show. Doesn't take much to just hit that button right now. Janine is here. What's going on, Janine? Good to see you. Big Dave Sullivan. Susan is here. My guy Tom is here. Noel Way. Had a nice little chat yesterday with Noel Way. Let's see. Laura E. Green-eyed Crow. I was fooled for some four square. Diane Evans. Hi, Diane. Liddy Lou. Been up for 2 hours. Anybody else have trouble sleeping last night? Yes. Yes, if you want, astrology readings are there for you to purchase. Let's see. Sigurd's with us. Good day to all from the hard labor holding pen of forever here in Bexhill. Bexhill, of course, famous for being in the Children of Men. Orlando, I emptied the clip in the coffee. It's good to see you. Melissa Stanton is here. Started day at 4 a.m. Esperanza Vence Tarot. There she is, a lovely and talented one, Dr. Jonas. Let's see, Night Slight. Actually had a really good little chat yesterday on Twitter DM with Night Slight, talking about some misadventures, actually in his case, heroic adventures in Las Vegas. Yes, you can buy me a cup of coffee. Thank you, Ryan. Appreciate that. Privacy Anti-Scam is here. We can start now. Thank you. Thank you for giving us the green flag. The green flag. There you go. Isn't that what they do in NASCAR? Green flag. Kevin Stick Evers. What's going on, Kevin? Checked it in from Florida. Good to see you. Sandra D. We got a little bear. A couple of years ago, the most beautiful golden bear walked into camp as we watched sitting in our camp chairs 30 feet away before we realized where he was. And I love bears. I'm a bear fan. Who doesn't love bears? I'm a big bear guy. Yes, we are all here again. Good to see you, Catherine. Sharon Lewis is here. Kathy Steen, Maya Rose. A timely recommendation for the film The Bear from 1989. Okay. John Bernasconi is saying hi. John, I'm saying hi back at you. Jay Scheffler coming in from Tucson. What's going on, Jay? Good to see you. We got a full house. That's right. Tracy F. Road Atlas. Harry Abui. Got to get in my yeah. 15 minutes of flame. Oh man, I'm going in. I'm going in on the liberal mindset today. That's right. I got Jeff Pearlman in my crosshairs. You'll find out more about Jeff Pearlman if you join me. Ms. Lulu from Sunny Man. We got a lot of Floridians. We got a lot of Floridians in here. It's always good. We can't start today with The Shining. Leave that schizonitch to Jay Widener. I know, man. It's like I was so tempted to bring in the Shining twins, but I'm like, no. There's nothing mourning and redemptive about them. Sweet Woodruff checking in from Plano. I love the movie Brother Bear. Neptune opposite natal sun. We see him, then we don't. Crowder is learning to be a magician. Yeah, I've been studying that for a while now, Catherine. But you can always learn some new tricks. Let's see who else we have. I appreciate your Scorpio ascendant sense of humor. Yeah, it's called dark. I have a dark sense of humor. It gets me in trouble sometimes. Mushroom cloud in the background would have worked nicely. Now that is dark. That is dark. Let's see. Desley Logum is here. I have a school buddy passing over next day or two, wishing her peaceful process. Yeah, wow. I hope your school buddy has a great journey. Great journey. The great adventure awaits. Let's see who else we have here. That's very cute. I like that. Let's see. Anybody else? Healing Heart Rosie. Let's see. Laura E. Did I say hi to Laura E? Yeah, I think so. Seeger, you can't get any more traditional than poly. It's now tribalism, anti-civilization. It's a brave new world. It is a brave new world. Pluto Groups is going to be, yes, indeed. Robot lover. Your algorithms drive me. Look at that. Lady Lou's mom had an awesome birthday party. Polyhouse will sport Baphomet wind vane. Is that how we'll know? We'll have a Baphomet wind vane on the lawn. Oh, look. It's the polypod. Hammer time. What's going on, Hammer? Hammer. Stephanie, you're late, but you're here. Did you bring a pass from the principal? Remember that, getting the pass from the principal? Here you go. Let's see who else we have. Intelligent design is a worthy argument. I think so too. Let's see. Anybody else? 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 Sicilian Aphrodite. It's a beautiful day. Yes, it is. Gen Z are based is just the new millennials are indigo children nonsense. Oh, I don't know, man. Gen Z has crossed some lines. That's what I think. Ratchet Boo. What's up, party people? That's right. Steven Jupiterian. I think we're good. We got a little integrity and karma. We got a full house. All right, let's get going here with the weather. Oh my God, I'm almost halfway through the show and I'm still just rambling. Okay. I was going to say something. What was I going to say? I don't know. Let's get into the weather. If it was that important, I would have remembered it. Right? Let's see. Let's get our new setting here. The new setting. And then I'll pump it up. All right, right here. Here we go. Zoom in. Okay. Before I get into today, let me ask you guys a question about yesterday. Did anybody have the experience of people sharing things that were, I wouldn't say revelatory, but like finding out things about that person that you never knew before? Like, did that happen to anybody yesterday? Because it sure as hell happened to me. That's right. Like, I had conversations yesterday, 2 separate occasions, where the 2 people I was talking, and they're both good people, but I found out things about their past. And not that I was prying. I was not prying, right? They were just openly and willingly sharing things with me about like shit that had happened to them. And I'm like, wow, really? That's fucking fascinating. Really, really fascinating. And I got to tell you this story. It's this guy. I love this guy. He's one of my local heroes. He's an Aquarian. And he was telling, we were actually swapping stories about how we fucked up in life, right? Like we were kind of, it's like that moment in Jaws where they're sort of showing their wounds on the boat. Like we're talking about like, oh yeah, you think you fucked up? Yeah, how about this? So we were having a series of fuck up shares, and he says to me, Robert, one time I got to tell you, one time I woke up on the hood of my car. He's a Texan. I woke up on the hood of my car because I was drunk, and I got home somehow, and I woke up on the hood of my car. And Robert, somehow I had an 8-ball of Coke with me. And he said, Robert, I left my house with $25 that night. I don't know how in the hell I wound up on the hood of my car with an 8-ball of Coke. All right, there we go. That is a share. That is a real share. We laughed our ass off. And it was really interesting. And then I had another exchange later on that night with somebody else, which I'm not going to get into. And I'm like, holy shit, really? Really? Like, so I don't know if you guys had that yesterday, but it was sort of peak Gemini share, like personal details. And then with the moon, we were dealing with that late Gemini moon, sort of like looking backwards, because that's what the moon does. The moon always looks backwards. So today the moon is in Cancer, which is a classic looking backwards kind of moon. The Cancer moon is very nostalgic. That's how it rolls. And today we have, it's a wide square, very, very wide square with Neptune. So as we move through the day, and some of you folks in other parts of the world move through your night, the effects of this moon will be lessened, and it won't be like everybody's bleeding out emotionally. Okay. Just sort of here at the beginning of our day in the Northern Hemisphere, North America, like we're just kind of getting through some of that. However, this moon, you got to track this moon. Here's the weather front, the lunar weather front, as it moves through Cancer. Now, remember, it's not necessarily a new moon, right? We're going to start to see that crescent, the beautiful crescent of the Cancer moon, but the energy is still, very new, right? That's the idea with the new moon. So the pull, theoretically, well, the pull is greatest when it's at its apex, but it's got this potency, right, when it's new. And we're going to see this moon beginning later tonight and moving into tomorrow, squaring Venus and squaring Chiron. This is a very tricky transit, okay? And it's because of essentially the newness of the moon, and people are going to be very emotional. This is the nature of the Cancer moon. And then you square off against Venus and Chiron, and man, we got hurt feelings. There's a lot of hurt feelings. You can just see it's like the weather front of hurt feelings coming in. And people are going to be abnormally sensitive over the next 48 hours. And I'm not saying that they're sensitive in the sense that like yesterday I talked about beware of how people sell their victimization and actually gaslight you, right? It's not quite like that. It just feels to me like people are going to be like sensitive in general, sort of like how animals feel. Like animals will know when there's going to be an earthquake, or they can like sense like a forest fire. Like it's that kind of sensitivity. Like it's just going to be like heightened sensitivity, period. But because it's squaring off against Venus and Chiron, the theater of that sensitivity shows up in relationships. And it's going to be tricky. This weekend is going to be very, very tricky. Because, of course, we have these Gemini planets that are just having a party. And it's like, talk, chatter, chatter, share, right? So there's a lot going on. There's a lot of talking, cross-talking, over-talking. And what I don't see here is a lot of listening. And also feel like there could be some real distortion with the listening as well. So old wounds open up, right? That's another part of this Moon, Venus, Chiron square over the next 48 hours. Old wounds, old family wounds, wounds from the past, things that people just haven't really gotten over. And then the conversations like trigger. And the sensitivity, which again is, I think, in the air, period, right? But the sensitivity has to do with these thinly veiled things that have happened in the past that have not been resolved. And it may not be you, it could be somebody else. And the next thing you know, you're like, what the fuck? Why are you crashing out? And you think in your head, well, we just had a, what I thought was like a reasonable conversation, or, something kind of in passing, but keep in mind that whatever is beneath the surface is not that deep, right? Like it's coming up. And is there a potential for healing? I think so. I think there can be. Here's what I'll say. If you are in a conversation with somebody like this over the next 48 hours, try not to take whatever it is that sets them off personally. Okay? Because the Cancer moon is very, very subjective. And I'll also say this. If you're going to get into a conversation and try to pull it apart or heal it or whatever, be very slow, right? Because people, when they go through something that hits them and it's very personal, right? Like the last thing they want to do is have somebody fix it. Do not get into the fix it mode over the next 48 hours if you run into this. Let people have their feelings, even if they seem irrational. And some of them will seem irrational. Like, what the fuck? You know, that happened 15 years ago or 10 years ago. And, you know, they may even have that realization themselves. Let them have it, right? Because I feel like if you get caught up, it's not here, although we're starting to get there, it's here, right? It's this Moon, Venus, Chiron square. If you allow them to just kind of cry like a baby, they'll be over it. They'll be over it. The hard part is that if you're in a situation where you can't get out of it, like you're on a road trip with somebody and they're having the meltdown and you can't get, has that ever happened to anybody? You're in a road trip and the person you're with is like all of a sudden deciding to completely dump all of their shit while they're in the car for the next 8 hours. Yeah, lots of fun, right? So let them have it. Again, I'll use the metaphor. Let them cry like a baby. Let them get it out. And once that happens, I do think that there can be some redress or some deeper dialogue. Like when the moon moves into Leo, like it's going to start to sextile our Gemini friends over here. It'll start to trine Venus, Chiron. It's a much better, like, emotional state to address some of this stuff. Just wait. Because I feel like if you try to fix it, it'll get worse. You know, you will hear this phrase, just let me have my feelings. Just let me have my feelings. Like that will be that's a mantra over the next 48 hours. Mothers out there, get ready to have some honest conversations with your kids, honest on their part, maybe not on yours. And you're like, holy shit, didn't I spend about $5,000 in 6 months in therapy for you to go through this? You're fucking bringing up the fact that you couldn't go to summer camp and that really ruined your life. I'm just saying, be prepared for that and just grin and bear it. You know, okay. All right. It's kind of a bit of a high road approach, but once that moon moves into Leo, it'll get better. And I would not even be surprised if the people that took their emotional dump on you come back and say, hey, I'm really sorry. I was just really stressed out, or, you know, let it unfold. Just let it unfold. And it will, I think it will be ultimately better and resolved. Just try your best to not fix things when people get uncorked. And if you happen to get uncorked, well, just own it. Just own it. Go all the way. And remember this conversation about the moon and Leo. and maybe say, hey, thanks for being there, or I know it was difficult for you to listen to that, but I appreciate it. Thank you. It'll go a long ways. We still have this great trine going on with Pluto, Mercury, Sun, Pluto, and I feel like this was also a lot about these shares yesterday, and people just like, oh wow, you're revealing some very interesting and very dark stuff about your past. Not that I was judgmental about it. It's like, it's kind of what I do for a living anyway. But we still have this, right? And it's great for research. And it's great for getting to the bottom of things. And what I love about Gemini is that you can kind of flip the script and look at whatever is going on from a different angle or a different perspective. And when you do that, you can have different kinds of insights. And it can be deeper, not only just deeper with Pluto, but it's sort of like this whole idea of the shadow, which a lot of people like to talk about and get into. This whole idea of the shadow. With Gemini, it's almost like you can get into that shadow place without it being attached. There's that quality of Gemini where you can just, look at it. You go, oh yeah, there's that. There's that. So you can see these things, but you can see them in a fairly objective kind of way, and which can be, I also think, quite empowering. So I think we have some really, really good aspects. Jupiter's in trine, sextiling with Venus. Again, we'll have that like going into the weekend. That'll be helpful in dealing with, the emotional outbursts that are, I believe, headed our way with this Moon Venus square, right? And so the Jupiter Venus sextile is like much more expansive, and it's like, okay, I can go with this. Just go ahead, have your moment, right? Have the moment. It's all right. We're still rocking with that Mars Venus trine, although Venus is now starting to separate, right? So enjoy this while you can. Let's see. Anything else we got going on here? I think that's about it. Yeah, I think that's it. So yeah, the weekend. Have a box of Kleenex ready. Here you go. Here you go. You done yet? Here you go. Still love you. Okay. Cry it out until it's done. All right, let's get into our True Hemp Science star of the day. Let's see. Let me get the banner up. And by the way, I got a new thing I'm going to break out today. I got a new thing. All right, your True Hemp Science star of the day is none other than John David Hinckley. Gemini, you got some winners. It was either this John Hinckley or the other John Kennedy. And, we've looked at John Kennedy's chart before. So I thought John David Hinckley would be an interesting chart study. And we'll get into it. True Hemp Science, of course, your one-stop shop for all things CBD, which I highly recommend to incorporate into your daily regimen. As my friend Chris says, you need about 3 to 4 weeks of concentrated use of CBD so it actually resets your body. Okay. And then it says after that, you can kind of tail off a little bit, a couple times a week, but it's that induction phase. So the CBD and some of the other cannabinoids that are in his excellent formulas can really get in and saturate your cells. So if you spend $100 or more, it's 1,5-MINS, and you'll get the goodie bag. You'll get some of the gummies. You'll get some droppers. You will enjoy both. $150 more, get your free shipping, and there's always a 30-day money-back guarantee. Okay. All right. Is that a provocative picture? John David Hinckley, is a fucking weirdo. He's a weirdo. And his chart is very weird. Now, let me give you a little bit of a background. He was born in Ardmore, Oklahoma, but his family settles in Dallas. His father is a major oil guy, like really significant, like lots of fucking money. Okay. And we know that the father has a relationship with the Bush family. We'll get into that a little bit. John Hinckley, I believe, went to high school. I think it's either Parkland or North Parkland High in Dallas. And I was not aware of this, but Jane Mansfield went to that high school. Like, how random is that? Anyway, he goes to high school there. And he begins to lead a very unusual life. Let's put it that way. At a certain point, he joins the Nazi Party in his youth. But he was so fucking crazy that even the Nazi Party kicked him out. Now, we all know that he's the guy that shot Reagan, Jim Brady, wounded a bunch of Secret Service guys. He's the dude, right? He was also obsessed with Jodie Foster and would write her letters and poems. Anyway, we'll talk about that. Let's talk about his chart. Okay, his sun is really weird. Now, some astrologers do not use Chiron. Of course, I use Chiron. But if we were to take Chiron out of this mix, John Hinckley's sun, just go down the elevator here, is like a singleton, right? There, with the exception of that trine with Chiron, which theoretically would actually help him, believe it or not. There is no other planet that is interacting with his sun, right? And he's a Gemini, and it feels like he is this open vessel, right? Like that's what his sun feels. And it's in the fourth house. And it's like, what the fuck was going on in the Hinckley household? That's what I want to know. What was going on in the Hinckley household? Remember, his father is fucking filthy rich. They're business associates with the Bushes. In fact, I believe, who was it? Was it Neil Bush? I think it was Neil Bush was meeting or having dinner with Hinckley's father the day before Hinckley plugged Reagan. Like, that's how close, like, you know, it's just so fucking weird. Like, if they had had the internet in 1981, which is when Reagan got shot like a month and a half into his presidency. If they'd had the internet back then, like, how do you think that assassination would have been viewed and talked about? It would have gone nuts. But of course, the news media just, you know, he's just some random crazy guy who had an obsession with Jodie Foster and John Lennon. Oh, who else had an obsession with John Lennon? Mark David Chapman. John Hinckley he's like a Manchu. He's like a Manchu candidate. But you know what else is weird about him? Is he's also very Charles Manson-like. And I'm going to get into this. So Reagan, who's an Aquarian, right, is opposing John Hinckley's Pluto. Pluto Sun opposition. Does that sound kind of familiar? Now, did he just say, oh, I'm just going to go and shoot Ron Reagan and Jim Brady because, well, kicks? I don't think so. And the weird thing is, like, if you get into his history, he has a very troubled history, like really fucking troubled. And nobody's really doing anything. Like, where have you heard that before? Like, nobody's really doing anything. You know, it's kind of like a version of Ethan Crumley from Michigan, although Hinckley's worse. Right? He's way worse. But for me, it's this son that is almost nearly unaspected. All right, let's get into some of the other stuff here. He does have these weird squares going on. He's got Mercury, Mars, and they're conjunct, but they're in different signs. Right? So he has Mars in Cancer, Mercury in Gemini, and he's got that South Node conjunct his Sun also in Gemini and squaring the moon. Right? And where's the moon? It's in the 8th house. And the moon is the family. Right? This is the family. You know, it is the ruler of the 4th house, which is the family. So the 8th house is occulted, right? It's taboo. It's things that are hidden from us. So something is going on with John Hinckley and hacking, like hacking his brain. And when you get into Moon Mars conjunctions or Mercury Mars conjunctions, depending on the conjunction, there can be a very challenging issue with impulse control. And it's almost like he's got this weird sort of cross wiring, right, with this Mercury Mars conjunction. And then he's got this in conjunct with Mars and Chiron. And it feels to me like, again, like he's programmed. He's got this program. He's like programmed to fucking kill. But when did that program start to happen? Did it happen 6 months before he went to plug Reagan, or did it start to happen before that? He tested out with an IQ of 135, really bright. And here's what happens with Hinckley. It shows you how connected he is. John Hinckley was found innocent of shooting Reagan and Jim Brady and the Secret Service guys. Why? Insanity. He had 30 counts against him, and he was found innocent on all 30 counts. And he wound up in St. Elizabeth's in Washington, D.C., which is where Ezra Pound spent a bunch of time, right? And he spent all this time in St. Elizabeth's. In the meantime, he's trying to strike up a correspondence with Charlie Manson while he's in prison. Hello, Scorpio midheaven, right? So Charlie's planets are all over here. And the reason why he wants to strike up a correspondence with Charlie Manson, because Charlie Manson was a singer and songwriter. And that's what John Hinckley turns himself into. Right. So Hinckley eventually gets released from prison. And he spends time living, with his mother, who's living in Virginia. And John Hinckley starts his own fucking record label. And he's released albums. He was going to go on a tour, but people were like, no, you can't do that, John, because people are going to be really angry, really upset. John Hinckley has his own fucking YouTube channel, right? This is what happens when you are the son of power, wealth, and privilege. You don't get fried, right? You're not even found guilty of the crimes you theoretically committed. At a certain point, you get to crawl out of that 12th house, right? Even Chiron in the 12th house. It's like insanity. You know, Chiron in Aquarius is crazy. But eventually, where does he go? He gets to go to mom's. He gets to go back home to mom's right there. I think he's really fucked up. And his son, it's like take away that trine, and there's nothing there. He's like an empty vessel. He's programmable. Was he smart? Yeah, he's probably pretty smart. Mercury and Gemini, like I said, he tested out with a 135 IQ, but that doesn't always help. And you can see, though, how he wants to be a fucking artist, right? He's got that Mercury, Mars, trine Neptune. Oh, yeah, I'm a singer. I'm a song. Listen, if you want to find his stuff, it's on YouTube. You can find it. And it's interesting because Pluto is coming in on his Chiron. And I wonder if we're going to have some kind of weird John Hinckley kind of resurgence. I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if this guy winds up having like a weird resurgence of popularity. I don't think it's out of the question. All right. I got a new thing that I want to do here. So somebody left me a message yesterday about yesterday's weather, and I was going to play it. And I thought to myself, that would be kind of a cool thing. So I've got a number here. And if you want to leave a message about the weather, like whether or not it impacted you, right? Or how you might have experienced, or just leave a message in general, like you can leave one there. And you don't have to say your name, right? Or if you do say your name, I can bleep it out, whatever. But leave a message, and the good ones I'll play. The weird ones I'll play. The bad ones, maybe I'll even play those if I think they're funny, right? So this is another way for you to interact with the show. Call, leave a message there. And if it's weather related or astrology related, I'll play them. I'll take about like 3 or 4 minutes at the end of the show and play some of them. Try to keep them brief though. Like try to do it within a minute and a half so we can get a few of them in. Okay, there you go. Don't forget, you can get a discounted ticket for the bridge event in Dallas. It's actually Frisco, and that is the second week of October. I believe it's the 17th through the 19th. Me, David Palmer, a bunch of other folks. It's going to be a really, really cool weekend, and I hope you can make it. And you've got a discount opportunity right now. And so that is in the description for the show. And I know some of you have signed up already, and I hope as many of you can make it as possible so we can all hang out, meet up, and have a really, really, really good time. And the hotel's like super cool. It's got a rooftop and everything, and we can hang out up there and, watch the UFOs land. All right. That's it. Thanks for being here. Come join me over on 15. You know the drill. Take good care of yourself. Treat each other well. God bless. Love you all. Robert Phoenix, signing off.